This is the Washington Commanders Radio Network.
Conversations keep going. That's what my podcast, Post Run High, with iHeartRadio is all about. Listen to Post Run High on America's #1 podcast network, iHeart. Open your free iHeart app and search Post Run High and start listening.
Portions of the following program will be recorded.
WBIG-FM, Washington, Big 100. Your flagship station for the Washington Commanders. Live from Davio's Northern Italian Steakhouse, Reston Station, it's Adam Peters Live. One-on-one with the Commanders GM. Presented by Fognigma. Command the cloud and dominate cybersecurity operations. Now, here's the voice of the Commanders, Bram Weinstein.
And welcome into Davio's Northern Italian Steakhouse and the Comstock Companies. Thank you so much for being our host tonight. You are listening to Adam Peters Live. It's presented by Fognigma. Command the cloud on Big 100 and the iHeart app. It is great to have you with us, Adam. Thank you so much for taking the time tonight.
Yeah, it's great to be here. This is a cool atmosphere, cool environment. First time I've worn a headset, and I can't hear anybody out there. So if you guys don't like what I say, it doesn't matter because I can't tell. But yeah, it's really awesome to be here. Thanks for having me.
It's 7-4, so they're clapping these days. You know, that's kind of how it works when you head into Thanksgiving at 7-4. It's really been a great start to the season. Just we're going to get into the team a little bit, but just overall, 7-4. How are you kind of feeling about where the team is right now?
We feel great. You know, obviously the last two games didn't go the way we wanted to, but you know, this week of practice has been awesome, and the guys are ready. They're refreshed after the weekend, so looking really forward to this Dallas week. Yeah, I'm learning about Dallas week, a lot of history that goes along with this, so we're pumped to have this opportunity.
When you're out in the community, you've heard a little bit about that, from the Cowboys.
Yeah, actually, I got a great history lesson from one of our owners, Mitch Rales, about Dallas week in 1982 season, 1983, beating them and going to the Super Bowl, winning the Super Bowl, so the stadium shaking and everything like that. So I got a great history lesson of why Dallas is a huge rival and everybody hates them.
Yeah. It's going to be an interesting one this weekend. I want to go back kind of to the start because this is kind of an introduction for you, the ownership group, everybody. Everything's really new here. How did you get into professional scouting and professional football?
Yeah, that's a great question. Everybody asks me that, and it was really, you know, kind of more how much I loved football and how much I didn't know what to do with my life. And so I played football at UCLA, not much. I was usually the guy that came in, you know, when you're blowing somebody out or you're getting blown out, and got some playing time and played on special teams. But after I finished playing, really didn't know what I wanted to do. And I knew I loved football, so I wanted to coach. I wanted to be in it some way. So just hung around the football office a lot. Helped out with the recruiting department.
Who was the coach at the time?
The coach, my coach was Bob Toledo, and we ended up letting him go a little bit later. And that time we had Carl Durrell, who was another really good coach. And so I worked for both of them, just kind of hanging around, doing recruiting work, doing video work, helping with the coaches, whatever they needed, getting them sandwiches, getting them coffee. And ended up getting hired there and worked with this guy by the name of Randy Taylor, who's a great mentor of mine. And he was the director of football operations, and we started watching some recruiting tapes and started watching guys, and it was really cool. I loved watching tapes, and it was all VHS. A lot of you guys probably don't know what VHS is, but VHS tapes, it was grainy, you couldn't see what was going on, but it's watching guys and who really loved football, who was hitting people hard and all that, and there's this one player I'll never forget, and he's a coach at the Ravens now. His name's Chris Horton, who was he was a Redskin at the time. He was drafted by the Redskins, and every play you watched it, he was from Louisiana, and this tape was so grainy you couldn't see anything. But all of a sudden you saw some guy like running faster than everybody and just smoking some guy. And over and over and over again, every play on this tape. And that was the first time I fell in love with really watching and evaluating players.
I think you started to see things differently. You played, but when you started doing this, did you see it differently when you were watching the tape of these players?
Yeah, you see it very differently, and then you're around coaches and you see it very differently. I remember my first coaching meeting with all the coaches who coached me, and it was my next year after not playing. and the way they talk about us, and the way I'm like, oh my God, they talk about us all the time. It's very different than how they talk to you. But just seeing the way they strategize, what they look for in players, the skills, the attributes, and everything like that really resonated with me.
Does it vary, coach to coach? You've been in a lot of different places.
Yeah.
Or different coaches are looking for different things from different players?
Yeah, I think the great ones all look for the same kind of core attributes, but everywhere you go, it's a few different things depending on what you're running, your schemes and everything like that.
Yeah, I want to ask you about what you and Dan Quinn are looking for maybe in a little bit, but I want to stay kind of on your background here. You had the opportunity to work with Bill Belichick in New England at the time as part of the dynasty run with Tom Brady as the quarterback. What can you share about the experience of working directly with him?
Yeah, I think I'm so thankful for starting there, because that, of any place you can start, that's a great place to get your foundation in terms of what they teach is your work ethic, your attentiveness to detail, leaving no stone unturned. And the things they preach day after day after day, it kind of ingrains in you this work ethic where you're working, every day. And we work every day here, but it's every day like 20 hours a day. And like you're not stopping. And then it's almost competition, because this person's doing this much and this person's doing this much, and you don't want to be left behind. And it really kind of gives you a core foundation of what's really important, and it's just trying your hardest no matter what to find the greatness in players and to find what it takes to win.
When you're working that hard, what's the edge? Like, what are you looking for? Why do you need to spend that amount of time to find that?
Well, back then you didn't have all the technology you have now, so you actually did need to take the time watching the tape, because it was tape, and it wasn't digital or anything like that. So you're just watching extra, looking for little things that maybe the other person went home and didn't see. And so all those things add up over time, and I think you find different things. Like one example I could tell you is Matt Slater, who's going to be in the Hall of Fame
as a special teamer
player.
Yeah.
And I had a little bit of a cheat code because I helped recruit him to UCLA, so I knew what he was all about. But finding all those things that he did on special teams when other scouts didn't really watch special teams, you're watching extra. You see all the things that he does that maybe other people don't see, presented to coach, and then they ended up drafting him in the 5th round. And he's going to be a Hall of Famer, which is cool.
They've won a lot and have won a lot. They're the modern dynasty of the NFL. Is there anything you can share about what they did as an organization with Bob Kraft or Bill Belichick that you learned that you're trying to attribute here to Washington?
Yeah, I think it's what I talked about is just the attentiveness to detail, like taking the extra step. Okay, I see this, but what about this? But what about this? And finding every little bit you can find, not only about the player but about the person, and how do they fit, and are they a commander, and why? And so you do those things, and you'll end up either figuring out, is this guy for us, or is he maybe for somebody else?
Yeah. And then you went to Denver, and they won a Super Bowl. You got to work with Peyton Manning at the end of his career. What was the experience like in Denver?
Yeah, I was really fortunate again. That kind of felt like I have a horseshoe, but working with Tom Brady, working with Bill Belichick, then working with Peyton Manning, and we had John Elway in Denver, and a lot of great coaches. Gary Kubiak was a great coach, and just learning what it took to be a great quarterback with Tom and with Peyton. And then with Elway, he led in a different way than we were led in New England, and we really had a lot of fun. But I found you could really win a lot of games, but really still have a lot of fun, which it wasn't always a ton of fun in New England.
So Denver was the fun stop with Whitty. What can you share about Peyton and Tom? What did you learn about working with the two of them?
Their work ethic was unrivaled, second to none. First guy in, last guy out, attentiveness to detail, demanding the most out of their teammates, but they could because they demanded the most out of themselves. So Tom and Peyton were both the hardest workers in the building, so it wasn't, if they said, you do this, you couldn't look at them and say, oh, I don't want to do this, because they're doing that. Yeah. And they're doing it probably harder than anybody.
And then you ended up in San Francisco, where you had been before you came here to Washington, and you were working with John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan and that organization, and they've had a great, successful run over the last, 5 to 8 years. What was that experience like working with them?
Yeah, that was everything. Like every step you go on, you take something from, and I think that one, the biggest thing that I took from is a combination of both of those, but then the cohesiveness throughout the building was really second to none, and the cohesiveness within the building was incredible. When you go from ownership to coaching to personnel, everybody's speaking the same language, everybody's in this together, pulling in the same direction. So if things are going bad, you're all in it together.
Yeah.
If things are going good, you're all in it together. A lot of places, things are going bad, you start pointing fingers, and that was what really made us strong, because we had a couple of really hard years to start, and people were calling for people's jobs, but we didn't fracture, and that was because of the leadership we had with John and Kyle.
Yeah.
And it was really, really eye-opening to see that, and we made it out the other side, and they're still doing a great job right now.
You know, it seems also that like there was a very strong relationship between the GM and the coach, John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan, and it seems like you're trying to forge that here with Dan Quinn. Is that do you see parallels with that?
Yeah, absolutely. That's really kind of the model that you want to have, is the head coach and GM on the same page. Our offices are right next together. We talk to each other all the time. We watch practice together every day. We're friends. We're buddies. It's like, I love him. He's awesome. So to have that and to know someone that you trust and he trusts you, and you see things the same way, and if you don't, you can have a great conversation about it, and you still come out of the room and be united and not have any animosity, and that's something special that's not everywhere. And been really, really lucky that we have Dan. Everybody here should feel really lucky we have DQ. He's an incredible coach. He's an incredible man.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about that relationship and what Dan has built here so far on the field in a moment. You are listening to Adam Peters Live. It's presented by Fognigma. Command the cloud on Big 100 and the iHeart app. And thank you to our hosts, Davio's Northern Italian Steakhouse and the Comstock Companies. We'll be right back. Italian Steakhouse and the Comstock Companies. Yes, thank you. You're listening to Adam Peters Live. It's presented by Fognigma. Command the Cloud on Big 100 and the iHeart app. All right, let's talk about you coming now. We talked about your past. Let's talk about you coming here. So you got to meet with Josh Harris and the ownership group, probably all of them, maybe all of them. What was that interview process like as you decided to choose to come here?
Yeah, it was really cool. I think, the one thing that everybody here would really appreciate is it is a really first-class interview process. And I've been through a few different interviews, and this one was outstanding in terms of the organization, just how they treated everybody. And so right away you feel like you're in a good spot. So I met with Josh in Miami. He's got an office in Miami, so that was cool because it was cold out here. So. But met in Miami, met with Josh, and met with Bob Myers, met with Rick Spielman, and that was my first interview. And the second interview, I met with some of the limited partners and with Magic, which was really, really, really cool, like incredibly cool, like you're starstruck. It's hard to interview with Magic when you're just looking at him like, oh my God, it's Magic Johnson.
Is it different? I mean, like, you work directly with Tom Brady, Peyton Manning. Those are as big a stars possibly could be in the NFL, but here's Magic Johnson walking in the room.
Yeah.
It's different.
Yeah, there's certain people that really make you starstruck no matter who you are, who you've been around, and Magic's certainly one of those. And so, met with Magic, David Blitzer, Mitch Rales, Mark Hines. So that was really neat too. I zoomed with them. It wasn't in person, and really hit it off with everybody. It's awesome.
Yeah. So in the end, why did you choose here? It's a long way from where you were. As you mentioned, you did interviews before, so you had opportunities in front of you. Why Washington?
Yeah, really, there's a ton of reasons why Washington. I think we think about the NFL and what the NFL is and the great franchise in the NFL, and this is one of the first ones that we think about with that, with the Washington football team, Commanders, Redskins, all those teams. That's what you feel upon, and this is the cornerstone franchise in the NFL. And so you're in the nation's capital, which is incredible. It's incredible for myself, incredible for our family, and so those two things alone. But then you look at the ownership group, and the ownership group is supportive, and great people, and they're willing to spend, they're willing to win, and they want to win, and they want to bring a team back to the community, and the things they're willing to do in the community as well. So all those things, and I think you look at those things, and you have great opportunity. You have a lot of, those are more important than where a draft pick was, and how much money you had. But those things are things you think about too. But really, the two biggest things is where you are and who you're working with and working for. And it couldn't have been better.
Yeah. But the history matters. Right?
History matters so much, and I love football. I've loved football since I was a little kid. And watching, the Redskins at the time playing against the 49ers and the other great teams in the East and Giants. The NFC East is the cornerstone division in the whole NFL. And to be a part of that, and play the Giants twice a year, play the Eagles twice a year, play the Cowboys twice a year, that's an honor, and try to do it twice a year.
Yeah, I talked to Dan Quirtlewater. He's from New Jersey, and he grew up with an NFC East fan as well. From a New York perspective, Giants fan, but I feel it in him too. He was just with Dallas, now he's here. You could feel it with him with the NFC East and being part of that. He really is.
It's a big deal. It really is an honor, and it's really cool to be a part of that.
Let's talk about the hiring of Anthony. You mentioned, I think you said you're very lucky to have him. When you went through the process of trying to find the next coach for the team, can you kind of share what the experience was and how you were able to enjoy it?
Yeah, we cast a wide net, and we were very diligent and process driven and all that. But Dan kept shining every step of the way, and I've met him before, and I've spoken to him before through the hiring process. And the one thing about Dan that I think everybody here should know too is, everybody says, okay, you can't say a bad word about this guy, but it's not only you can't say a bad word about him. Every single person I talk to, you talk to players, you talk to coaches, you talk to anybody in the NFL, personnel people, everybody loved Dan Quinn. It wasn't like, oh, he's cool. And it's like they raved about him as a human being. And that's really the first thing that I would look for, is just being with a great human being that I can trust. And the fact that he's also an incredible coach. He's been a head coach before. And because he got fired, which I don't know that he should have, but he did. Instead of pouting and worrying about why did I get fired, he looked internally, what could I have done better? And then he took those things to heart. He did 360 on himself and said, these are the 4 or 5 things that I could do better. And not only did he do that, he put that, and he did those things, and he was prepared for that, for this job. So he's ultra prepared, loves everything about it, and those things were just like, and he's putting those things to work right now.
Yeah.
And it's really, really cool to see that it's come to life in the brotherhood he's created for us.
It was interesting, the first press conference he did, like, it's something that really stood out, something you're kind of touching on, like, it almost felt like he wants to prove something to himself and to everybody else, too. You can kind of feel that this second go-around for him is very meaningful, and not just in having the job, but trying to prove that he could be a champion coach.
Yeah, I think it's more that understanding, okay, learning from maybe your mistakes. I don't even know if they're mistakes, but just learning how you can be better, and having that humility, and then just wanting to be part of a great team together with other people who are like-minded in the fact that we love football and want to do everything we can to win and have fun doing it. And that's really cool.
Talk about staff a little bit, too. Anthony Lynn's former head coach, Cliff Kingsbury's former head coach. This is a very robust staff that ended up coming in here. What can you share about the experience of finding the assistants here?
Yeah, I think I give the credit to Dan, too, because, as I said earlier, the coaches want to coach for him because they know what kind of person he is. They know how he leads, and they know how he treats them and knows what he's about. And so it was actually really easy to get a great coaching staff in terms of a first year coaching staff to have as many great coaches as we have. I'm blown away. The people that wanted to be here, that would turn down other jobs to be here. So that was all DQ, and really a lot of the people that he chose have done really well and began to really know all them, and they're all about the same thing.
Let me ask you a little bit about the roster, too. When I heard you all were signing Bobby Wagner, I was surprised. He'd spent his entire career on the West Coast. He's clearly going to be a Hall of Fame player one day. Could you talk about him specifically and his desire to come and play for this team?
Yeah, it's going to be a broken record because DQ again. And, to get a player like Bobby Wagner here was a really big moment for us, I think, and just saying, okay, we're back to being a really legitimate franchise when a Hall of Fame player wants to come play for us, and that's because of the trust and the belief that we had in DQ. And I had to negotiate his contract one-on-one, which is really weird, negotiating straight with a player.
No agent?
Yeah, no agent. He's his own agent, so I had to do that with him, and
How'd he do?
He won. Yeah, I wasn't ready for that one, so I'll be ready the next time. But yeah, he was really good.
No one else has ever done that before. The team itself, too, just in general, there's a lot of new players here. You were very busy in that first offseason. How do you kind of look back on building this first roster here?
Yeah, it was a whirlwind, and at the time, there wasn't a lot of us that are here now. It was myself, it was Lance, it was Martin Mayhew, Rob Rogers, kind of the 4 of us working on all these contracts, and we had the coaching staff. We had a lot of people working with us. Sarah, who's here today, working really hard, but it was really small. It felt like a startup almost in terms of, because we didn't have our whole staff yet. And it was really fun. It was really hard, but it was a whirlwind, and just trying to find players who fit us and who are commanders and who could make our fans proud. And I think we did a good job of that.
And then the draft came around. Take us through that experience. You guys had a lot of draft picks to work with. It was your first experience working with the ownership group, with the coaching staff, the new front office that's robust hires that were occurring at that time. What was the experience of the first draft like?
Yeah, it was really fun too, and having the support of the ownership group was a big deal in terms of letting us do what we'd like to do in free agency, obviously within reason, but getting the players that we wanted to get. That way, in the draft, we could make the decisions we wanted to make without making them out of need, but just making it out of, okay, who are the best players that fit us the most.
Yeah, it was unusual circumstances. You guys had a lot of picks, right? That must have felt a little unusual. So how did you kind of think about having as many picks as you had when you went into the draft this year?
Yeah, I think when you have that many picks, I think we had the number 2 pick, which was huge, and then having a couple of seconds, and then ended up getting a couple of thirds too. So, and then obviously we made a few trades in there, but getting as many good players we think they can start, and that's what we're looking for in Commanders.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to get into living in the DMV, Darryl Green's retirement of his jersey this year, all the alumni, and of course, it's Dallas week, so we got to get into the Cowboys as well. This is Adam Peters Live. It's presented by Fognigma, Command the Cloud on Big 100, and the iHeart app.
Matrícula consular. with 24 monthly bill credits for well-qualified customers plus tax and $35 device connection charge. Contact us before canceling entire account to continue bill credits or credit stop and balance on required finance agreement due. Bill credits end if you pay off device early. Ctmobile.com.
From Davio's Northern Italian Steakhouse in Reston Town Center, it's Adam Peters live on Big 100. Presented by Fognigma. Command the cloud and dominate cybersecurity operations.
This is Adam Peters Live. It's presented by Fognigma. Command the cloud on Big 100 and the iHeart app. Have you gotten used to that yet? Have you heard this yet?
Yeah, it's my first time hearing it for real.
So we found out you're a historian. You must have seen the old videos of RFK shaking, right, with the "We Want Dallas" chants.
Yeah. That was. I was saying, Mitch Rails sent me that video, and to be able to watch that, and you could feel it. You get chills just watching it. It's on YouTube, I think, and it's really cool to watch.
Yeah. Well, the ownership group, when they get the new stadium, wherever it is, the shaking stands. We used to like that, so we'll have to see. Get those springboard stands back in the stadium again. We'll see.
Yeah, I'll put it in the comment box.
Put that note. Yeah. Put that note in there. So it is Dallas week. You're here. You're new to the area. You're getting to know our fan base and our region. What's kind of struck you so far about living in the Washington area?
Yeah, I think one thing is it's really the DMV, and coming in, I didn't know what that meant, but we're living in McLean, and in 10 minutes we can get to Maryland, in 15 minutes we can get to DC. So everything's here, and everybody's united behind us, which is really cool. And there's so much here. There's so much diversity of thought. There's diversity of people. There's diversity of culture, food. You can go 10 minutes and be in the city, 10 minutes and be in the country. So it's a really, really neat place to grow up, for our kids to grow up. So we're really, really happy to be here.
You could be the head of the Chamber of Commerce now. That's pretty good. It's not bad. We had a really cool event earlier this year. Darryl Green's jersey was retired, so we had a lot of the alums come in. What was the experience like that weekend working with Darryl and meeting all the alums as they came through?
Yeah, that was fantastic. That was really, really cool to see how many people came back for that. And I think we had over 100 alumni and through different eras, and to meet all of them. They all actually came to our walkthrough on a Saturday in the bubble and came to the practice, and there was over 100, I think, that were there, and then they came to the gala that night. But got to meet some really cool people, really players that I watched growing up that I was scared of growing up, like Dexter Manley. You see it? Still a little scary. Charles Mann looks like he could still play right now.
Did you shake Dexter's hand?
Yeah, from a distance.
Yeah, did you?
No,
did you learn that lesson? Don't shake Dexter's hand.
He's awesome, but I got to meet Art Monk. How cool is it to meet Art Monk for the first time? And then obviously being around guys every day like Martin Mayhew works with us, Doug Williams works with us. So just being around that history and them telling the stories of when they played, and obviously Darryl, how great he was for such a long time. It was an honor to be a part of that.
You mentioned Doug. He's up for the Hall of Fame as a contributor. He had an incredible career as a quarterback. Of course, won the Super Bowl MVP here in Washington. What do you make of that candidacy, and how do you think about in working with Doug on a day-to-day?
Yeah, what's crazy is I came here and I just assumed he was already in the Hall of Fame. I thought he was in the Hall of Fame because he should be, and he should have been a long time ago. And the fact that he isn't, and that should happen soon, I think. But what he did for this game, what he did for black quarterbacks, and just for everything that we all see today is unbelievable. The first black quarterback to be drafted in the first round, the first black quarterback to start a Super Bowl, to win a Super Bowl MVP, and then going on to have a great career after that. He's in 2 rings of fame, in our ring of fame. He's in Tampa Bay's ring of fame.
Could be in Grambling's too.
Yeah. He's in the College Hall of Fame. Yeah. And all the things he's done post his playing career, coaching and being in front offices and everything he's done. It's shocking that he's not in, but I think it's coming soon, and it should.
How about Coach Gibbs? What's your interactions been with him so far? Because I've seen him come in and out a few times, came in training camp a couple of times. What's your interaction with him?
Yeah, Coach Gibbs what he's done in football and then post-football is really, really impressive, doing what he's doing in racing. But just the lessons that he taught to the players that when he was coaching here are still stand true today, and getting to talk to him, and he's still sharp as a tack. So whenever you're around him, you always learn something.
I want to ask you about my partner too, London Fletcher, who
Oh,
I do
yeah.
the games with, who I'm hoping one day he's going to be in the Hall of Fame too, because I think he deserves it. The second all-time leading tackler. What's been your experience in being around London?
London, watching him was incredible. Watching him and the way he played for however long he played was it just consistency over and over. And then you know this, but the energy he brings each and every day is consistent and awesome and positive. And being around him, like London's around, P. Mitch is around, and so we have a lot of great alumni that have been around, and a lot more that are coming around. Our new ownership group did a really good job of wanting to reestablish that and bringing all the players that have played here back, and it's been really cool to get to know those guys. In London, definitely one of the favorites.
So when you're out and about, what's your interactions like? The people I know have so much kind of hope pinned. I think you're realizing very quickly what this team's meaning is to the community. What's your interactions been like, fans?
It's been really positive. It's been really cool to be welcomed here, and everybody's been very warm and welcoming. And going around and it's new for me getting noticed in public, but I always joke I have a demographic, and it's not like 25-year-old supermodels. It's like 30 to 50-year-old men, and so those are the ones that recognize me. I joke around that with my wife. She likes that. It's not. But it's been really fun to talk football and to bump into people and really be appreciated, and I appreciate that a lot. That how passionate everybody is.
That was a new finding for you that 35-year-old men like football.
Yeah.
New revelation for you to find that one out. What do you make of Dallas week? This is your first experience with. I know that they're in a different situation this year with what's going on with all the injuries with their team. But you probably can feel it a little bit about what these games with Philadelphia and specifically Dallas mean to the organization in the area.
Yeah, all these division games are always much more important than the others, and rightfully so. Dallas week, this is my first experience with that. I can tell you, our guys are ready. Our guys they got the weekend off, which was nice. We needed a break. We haven't had a break since the season started, so getting those 2 extra days, and we had 2 really good days of practice so far, today and yesterday. So the guys are ready. They're pumped. They're energized, and they know what's in front of them.
Yeah, and you can feel in the building that they understand the division games and where the division games the weight that at least I know the area feels when they go into games like this.
Yeah, and the thing is that you alluded to it, but the records don't matter. The records don't matter in these division games, whether you're 1-9 or 9-1. These are hard fought games. They're going to be tough, and they're going to give everything they got, and so will we.
Did you experience this with San Francisco, New England, Denver? I'm sure they had their own kind of rivals. Everyone thinks theirs is more special than the other, but Washington Dallas feels historic. It kind of has that weight to it. And since I know that you've mentioned how you love the history of football, I know that Washington Dallas it just has that special meaning, especially in the week of Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it is. I think everybody thinks their rivalry is the biggest, but I do think that this is, if not the best, one of the best in football, and really everybody we play in our division. Those are big ass games. Excuse my language, but those are big games, and it's really a privilege to be a part of them.
All right, let's get into a couple of the big moments from this year and the season moving forward. After we take a quick break, I want to thank our host one more time, Davio's Northern Italian Steakhouse and the Comstock Companies. You are listening to Adam Peters Live. It's presented by Cognigma, Command the Cloud on Big 100, and the iHeart app.
Copy that. compliance assessment.
Received, and veterans will get the life-saving support they need. Visit PurpleHeartFoundation.org to donate a car and help our heroes. We need your support today. That's PurpleHeartFoundation.org.
It's Adam Peters Live. Join the Washington Commanders GM Thursday, November 21st for a special one-hour live event along with host, voice of the Commanders, Bram Weinstein. Yes. Italian Steakhouse at Reston Station from 7 to 8. For reservations, call 888-995-4810 or visit davios.com/Reston.
Accidents happen, and there's only one person you call when accidents happen. That's Attorney Big Al. 1-800-1-2-3. See how the winning back makes all the difference, right? Well, if you're injured and you're in an accident and you need an attorney on your team, just make that call. 1-800-1-2-3. Attorney Big Al's a law firm.
Sondermind is your mental health home. Your mental health needs can change day to day. You need a personalized, supportive place to meet those needs, whether it's a breathing exercise, talk therapy, or medication management. That's Sondermind. You can use our tools 24/7, or we'll get you an appointment in less than a week, with or without your insurance. Get started today. Call 844-THERAPY or visit sondermind.com. Sondermind, your mental health home.
From Davio's Northern Italian Steakhouse in Reston Town Center, it's Adam Peters live on Big 100. Presented by Fognigma. Command the cloud and dominate cybersecurity operations.
Get a feel of what we thought this team was going to be this year.
I think every time you go into any season, not just your first season, but you want to win every game, right? And you always think you're going to win every game. Obviously, that never happens, except for the Dolphins in '72. But what I really was impressed with was what DQ did in terms of bringing this team together and creating this brotherhood. That this was a really tight-knit team, really, really quickly. And so I knew we had that. I knew we had a team that was going to be tough and battle to the end of every game. So, and getting better each week, and that's what I think all you can ask for is getting better each day, getting better each week. So, didn't know in terms of record-wise, but I knew I was proud of the team and what DQ put together.
Well, the first few weeks of the season, the first 4 to 6 weeks, every week, we get this pile of statistics that come from all these different sources. And every week in the spring, we would see these things like not since World War II, not since 1976, not since 1994. All these different things that the team was doing, specifically offensively early in the season. To what do you attribute that kind of early season execution and success by the offense?
Yeah, I think you go to the coaches and the players and all being on the same page, all working together, working really hard. The offensive line really cohesive, really quickly. We hired new O-line coach Bobby Johnson, who did a great job, and just a lot of tough guys up front that really set the tone. And then getting some guys like Lance here, it's Noah Brown, and getting Noah Brown late in the game to get an extra playmaker. You got Terry. We have a lot of guys that have made a lot of plays for us, and then obviously you get to Jaden, and Jaden's been very, very just wise and really not like a rookie. So all those things together, and they did a great job.
Obviously at the Cincinnati game, it was kind of the first high-profile game that the team had played. It was Monday football. It was there. They really needed to win. They were 0-2 coming into this. Jamar Chase and T. Higgins are going to be together for the first time on the field. It's a really great atmosphere there in Cincinnati. Jaden makes this great throw. Terry McLaurin makes this great catch. The team gets this kind of marquee win. What was your kind of reaction to that one?
Yeah, my reaction was like yours on the radio. You watched that? It's awesome. But it was really cool because every time they punched us, we punched back, and just to see the resolve of this team and the ability to make plays in crunch time and not being too big. I was really impressed by our guys and the way they did that. And it was a really tough environment, a hostile environment, and that team, they had their backs against the wall. They're a really good team. They're really good players, and for our guys to go toe-to-toe, it was really fun.
I thought it was really interesting the week after the team flew directly to Arizona. You spent the entire week there. It was a short week because you played on Monday night. You get a West Coast trip. That never seems to bode well when the schedule lines up like that. And the team played maybe arguably its best game of the season at that point. What did they show you then off of everybody's talking about him, everybody's happy about him, they're saying nice things about him, and they turn around and they seem to put their head down and just get back to work?
Yeah, it was a challenge, and going to Arizona straight from Cincinnati, and our whole football operation came together, and really proud of everybody in the whole organization for that, in terms of planning that, from our ops department to nutrition, to training, to the strength coaches, to the players, to the whole support staff made that happen. And we flew straight to Arizona, got no sleep the first night. We're dragging, but by the end of the week, we got our energy back. And during that time, it was really cool to see that the players come even closer together. And they were hanging out in the meal room. There was no meals in the meal room at the time. They're playing cards in the meal room. They're going to dinner together, and this guy's going to dinner with this guy, and these aren't two guys you'd think would be going to dinner. So everybody kind of handled really well that week, and I think that really helped. And then towards the end of the week, the having less travel time really paid off, and the guys were, by Saturday night, they were jumping in the meeting room on Saturday night, and it was awesome. It was a really fun game.
University of Chicago. So this game gets flexed into the national window. It's Canada Jordan, so it's going to be this big storyline. And both teams was 5-2 or split 2 at the time. Did you ever feel like, I don't know if anyone thinks what happened at the end is going to happen at the end, but did you ever feel that this was going to be a special game going into it?
Yeah, I thought our guys were going to play really well, and they did, and we just didn't finish a lot of the times, and we left the line on the table, I think, and I didn't think it was going to be that close. It shouldn't have been that close to the game the way we played, and so Josh and I walked down in the fourth quarter, and we were winning, and then they take the lead, and I couldn't believe it. I was just standing there. I was like beside myself that we had given up this lead, and then the Hail Mary happened, and I lost my mind.
What did you see?
We were on the sideline, so probably like the 25-yard line, and it's not a really good view of it, actually. He was watching Jordan moving around, and I'm like, what is he doing? Why are you taking so long? Well, that's why I'm not a player, and I'm just a GM. Because I know what he's doing, apparently, and once that happened, I saw the ball go up in the air, and there's only one person back there, and it was Noah Brown. And then once he caught it, and then I just lost my mind and blacked out and started running. I don't know what I was doing.
I've seen video of it. I haven't seen it in review. Does it exist?
Yeah, the hamstrings were sore for like a week after that. There's no video of it. I'm sure there was, but I didn't know what to do. But I was just running and running and running, and it was really cool because everything the guys put in that week, and to me that game, would have been really hard, but all the things that we prepare, we practice that every week, and we practice the technique, and the guys block really long, and we're in the right spot. So when you do those things, they pay off, and it happened, and we're ready for it.
And do you have one point on before a Hail Mary of any sort?
No, not that I can remember. Not like that. That was something else.
Yeah, it was really, really incredible. As we kind of close up tonight, the team is on its first 2-game losing streak. What do you expect from them starting this week against Dallas?
I think we talked about it earlier, but it's been getting those days off on Saturday and Sunday, and really Friday, Saturday, Sunday really helped. I think everybody's refreshed, both mentally and physically, and that showed coming in on Monday and then coming in on Wednesday to practice. We had a great energy at practice Wednesday. Same today. It was cold today, but guys fought through it, and they really practiced hard. And so I think we're fresh. We'll have this game and another game before another bye. So I think just getting through these 2 games and having that extra burst of energy from those days off of it.
I would imagine you're feeling pretty good. I don't want to get ahead of yourself, but the team's in a very good position right now. So how are you kind of thinking about what is the rest of the season, the final 6 games of this year?
We're just thinking about Dallas. I mean, that's all we can think about is they're just winning this next game, and the guys are locked in.
So at this point, how would you kind of sum up where you were as of 10 months ago? Maybe about 11 months ago, right? You were still in San Francisco to where we are now, a 7-14 as they head down the stretch of this season.
Yeah, I think we're in a good spot. We really are, and it's a testament to all the people that are there and the leadership we have, the ownership we have, allowing us to do what we want to do, allowing us to give the players the things they need to be successful on the field, whether that's nutrition, whether that's recovery, whatever it is. And so really proud of where we are, proud to be a part of this team and see these players run out every Sunday and really every day during the week and really bust their tails to be as good as they can. And just very, very happy and thankful and grateful that we have this opportunity.
We're excited for Sunday home against the Cowboys. There's nothing like it. We want to thank our host one more time, Davio's Northern Italian Steakhouse and the Comstock Company. And we want to thank Adam Peters for doing this hour with us here live today. We've been listening to Adam Peters Live. It's been presented by Ford Morgan, Command Cloud, and Big 100 and iHeart App. Of course, tune in to iHeart this weekend. It's the Commanders